Welcome! Today you will learn some techniques that will empower you the next time you get behind the wheel of a vehicle. The objectives of this course include becoming familiar with driver safety facts, learning specific rules and mandates for state employees, identifying frequent causes of accidents, understanding defensive driver techniques, identifying driving hazards, becoming familiar with basic driver and vehicle safety steps, knowing techniques on how to prevent accidents, becoming familiar with the accident vehicle reporting process. Driving in Oklahoma can be a challenge. There are hazards everywhere, and if you don't pay attention, you could become a statistic. When you think of work-related safety hazards, you probably think about what goes on inside the workplace. But one of the greatest threats to your safety is not the workplace, but rather your safety on the road. Did you know that someone is injured on the road every 14 seconds? If we sit down and calculate that out mathematically, it equates to 2 million injuries annually. In fact, many of the over 2 million injuries across the nation turn out to be disabling. If those 2 million people were all residents of Oklahoma, it would mean that 3/4 of the people that call this great state home would be hurt every year. Furthermore, a person dies in a crash on U.S. roads every 16 minutes. This means that motor vehicle accidents are the most common cause of death of all workplace fatalities. 1 in 4 work fatalities involves a motor vehicle accident. These statistics are cause for concern. They also provide the explanation for this safety training session. Have you or anyone you know ever been involved in a motor vehicle accident? Most people have had at least a fender bender. Think about the consequences of a serious accident. It could change your life, and not for the better. Title 47, Section 11-901D of the Oklahoma Statutes prohibits texting and driving. Additionally, Oklahoma Statute Title 47, Section 11-901B prohibits distracted driving, which includes talking on the phone, self-grooming, and eating. Furthermore, smoking is not permitted in a state vehicle per Title 63, Section 1-1523E. Operating a vehicle under the influence is not permitted at any time, as stated in Title 47, Section 11-902. What can you do to better prepare for the next time behind the wheel? As a state employee, you must complete the Fleet Management Department Driver Responsibility Certification Form. As you continue to develop your understanding of the rules and regulations, you also need to consider the associated road hazards that are going to be present next time you are on the road. As state ambassadors, Oklahoma drivers should consider becoming defensive drivers who obey traffic rules and apply an others first approach. As an ambassador, you should always obey the speed limits, traffic signs, and signals. Additionally, follow the 3-second rule. This means that you should always stay at least 3 seconds behind the vehicle in front and allow more distance at night or in bad weather. Also, avoid sudden maneuvers. In a moment, I will go into greater detail about ways to avoid these situations. If you're a defensive driver, you'll also yield to other drivers. That's why it's important to keep cool in traffic. Before you depart for your next meeting, allow enough time to get to your destination. Consider leaving 15 minutes earlier than you anticipated to accommodate traffic flow interruptions. Another way to anticipate traffic flow change is through the use of a mobile app from your workstation or before you have turned on the ignition in your vehicle. Before you drive, consider this. Aggressive driving is the desire and action taken to get there first. Cut people off, sound horns, flash lights, and make obscene or angry gestures at anyone who gets in the way. Aggressive driving and road rage have become a national epidemic. Defensive drivers don't engage in it or encourage it. No matter how bad the traffic is or how frustrated you get, try to keep your emotions in check. Strong emotions have no place on the road. They can make you take risks and make foolish decisions that can get you killed. Therefore, don't provoke other drivers. Take steps to stay relaxed, such as taking deep breaths when irritated, listening to soothing music, and remembering not to take actions of other drivers personally. Always allow enough time to reach your destination safely. Don't provoke, challenge, or even respond to aggressive drivers. Move out of their way, avoid eye contact, and don't respond to rude gestures or abusive language. If an aggressive driver persists in challenging you, report the incident to the police, providing vehicle description, license plate number, location, and direction of travel. We've all seen similar gestures from other drivers across Oklahoma, so let's discuss ways to avoid making people angry. In order to avoid reckless driving, I have mentioned checking apps prior to departure or turning on the ignition in your vehicle. When you plan, your state of mind is prepared for the journey. Always remember to use your signals. People are not mind readers, and slowing without using your signal to indicate you are trying to make a turn really catches people off guard. As an ambassador, signal your intentions. If you're going to turn or want to change lanes, switch on your turn signal in plenty of time. If you plan to stop, Tap your brakes a few times to slow down so that the driver behind you can see your brake lights and understand that you're slowing down and may stop. If somebody is right behind you, stick your arm out the window, extend it downward, and wave your hand backward to show you intend to stop. Remember, you are viewed by the public as an ambassador for the state, and you should pass with care and only where allowed. Additionally, slow down when being passed if the other vehicle needs room to pass safely. Given the fact that you have multiple responsibilities and lots of challenges ahead of you for the day, you must put your focus where it needs to be. When you are in your vehicle traveling at the posted speed limit, you are a 4,000-pound missile. Keeping your attention on the road is paramount to your safety and that of those around you, especially when you consider the 3-second rule. I am sure one of you in the audience is wondering, how can you tell if you're 3 seconds behind another vehicle? Simple. Just note when the vehicle in front passes a traffic sign or utility pole. Then slowly count. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. If you pass a sign or pole before you've counted 3 1,000, you are too close. This approach will keep you focused on your driving and prepared for anything that might occur on the road. Being a defensive driver means keeping your mind on your driving and your hands on the wheel. You can't be talking on the phone, thinking about other things, fiddling with the radio or music player, or carrying on animated conversations with passengers. You also have to constantly look well ahead for changes in traffic or road conditions. If you see brake lights ahead, slow down and be prepared to stop. Keep an eye on what is going on behind you. Check your mirrors frequently for oncoming vehicles. Always expect the unexpected when driving. This way, you'll never be surprised and you'll always be in control. Watch for other drivers making sudden moves. Also, keep alert for pedestrians, bicyclists, and animals darting out in front of you. Now that you have been reminded of what you should avoid, let's talk about the requirements of defensive driving. Always keep your mind on your driving and your hands on the wheel. Scan the road ahead for problems. I suggest monitoring not only the vehicle in front of you, but 3 to 4 car lengths ahead of that vehicle to anticipate what might happen. Always check your mirrors. The rear of your mirror should be adjusted to allow for visibility in the line of sight to the rear of the vehicle. The side mirrors do not always tell the entire story. Lean forward in your seat to get a better view of what's around you. Always anticipate the unexpected while driving. If you have been scanning the traffic around you, you will be better prepared when circumstances suddenly change. I discussed the ways to avoid making people angry, but realize there will be people on the road that want their way. When you come across drivers that are in a hurry, simply yield to those determined to get their way. Again, avoid distractions, cell phone, eating, self-grooming, etc. The thought of trip preparation, aggression, and defensive driving techniques can make you feel tense. A constant state of tension will lead to fatigue, and fatigue can result in poor judgment, slow reaction times, especially during rush hours, low light, and inclement weather. Traffic safety experts say that fatigued or drowsy driving may be a factor in tens of thousands of crashes every year, crashes that result in thousands of injuries and hundreds of deaths. A National Sleep Foundation study finds that over half of adults admit to driving while drowsy, and more than 1 in 3 report having fallen asleep at the wheel. To prevent accidents due to fatigue, take these simple precautions. Be especially careful late at night, early in the morning, and during the mid-afternoon hours when drowsy driving accidents are most likely to happen. Stop and take a short nap of 15 or 20 minutes if you are tired and having trouble keeping your eyes open. Try having a cup of coffee or other caffeinated drink. When driving long distances, get out of your vehicle every couple of hours to stretch and refresh. Also, set realistic and safe daily mileage goals. Also avoid medications that cause drowsiness if you have to drive. Every year, people are injured or killed on the road because another driver was driving under the influence. Defensive drivers never drink or take drugs and drive. They understand that alcohol and drugs impair your ability to determine distances, reaction time, judgment, and vision. Remember, coffee won't sober you up. Only time can do that. You have to wait at least an hour for each drink you've consumed, including beer and wine, before it's safe to drive. If you've been drinking, ride with someone who hasn't. If you are not using alcohol or illegal drugs, you must consider the impact of over-the-counter medication and the placement of a sling or brace on your foot or arm. If you are injured and you are placed on a return-to-work program, consult your physician for the best way to get to work safely and be a productive member of the team. If necessary, consider adjusting driving patterns and schedules or ride with a designated driver until recovery. You have learned about the financial impact to Oklahoma and about the laws and driving hazards. But before you get on the road, in order to get your car moving, it must be in an operable condition that will get you to your next destination and beyond. In addition to regular maintenance, you should always give your vehicle a quick visual inspection before you hit the road. Walk around the vehicle before you get in and make sure there is nothing behind or underneath that you might run over. Check your tires and make sure they are properly inflated and still have sufficient tread. Rotate tires when you get an oil change so that they wear evenly, and change tires as necessary. Also be sure your lights, signals, and wipers are all working properly. Check for any leaks under the vehicle. When you get in the vehicle, make sure the windows are clean and that there's nothing blocking your vision. Don't forget to check your wipers and windshield fluid levels. When you have taken care of all these suggested measures, don't forget to consider the cold months in Oklahoma when your windows frost over. In order to properly defrost your windows, start by turning the ignition over in your vehicle. Once the vehicle is idling, set the vent control to defrost, and if the car is equipped, turn on the rear defrost. While the vehicle is warming up and the windows are clearing from the inside, you will have to clear the exterior windows. Do not use hot water. The immediate contact of hot water on a cold window will cause the glass to crack. Also make sure both rear view and side mirrors are properly adjusted. Finally, be sure all outside and inside lights work properly, including turn signals. Regular tune-ups will ensure your vehicle is operating at its best capacity. When maintenance is done, ensure that a qualified mechanic is completing the work. This includes oil changes. Oil must be changed in accordance with the guidance provided within the owner's manual. Check and maintain proper fluid levels for coolant, brake fluid, and power steering fluid. Don't forget to keep the windshield washer tank full so you don't run out when you need it. Have your brakes inspected according to the schedule in the owner's manual and replace brakes as necessary. Also mentioned earlier, checking your tires twice is always a good idea. Look at the tire tread and conditions. Make sure there are no cracks or embedded nails, screws, or other foreign objects. Check the tire pressure too, then go to the back of the vehicle and check the spare tire. Ensure it's inflated and the changing tools are available. You don't want to have to find out that they're missing items once it's too late. In addition to checking under the hood, also check the battery connections for corrosion. Lastly, familiarize yourself with the roadside assistance policy specific to your agency. Despite your best efforts to ensure your vehicle is roadworthy, there is another factor that must be considered. Getting the load to the final destination in one piece is critical to the safety of you and your vehicle and the other drivers around you. If you're carrying a load of any kind, either people or cargo, make sure not to overload your vehicle. Make sure every person in the vehicle has a seat and a seat belt. Don't allow doubling up or trying to squeeze more people into the vehicle than it can accommodate safely. Make sure cargo is properly secured so it won't shift around while you are driving. And ensure that cargo doesn't block your vision and that you can see out of all windows. Lastly, depending on the contents that you are transporting, place heavy and sharp objects in the trunk of the vehicle to prevent driver area secondary damage from objects being thrown during a collision. If you're involved in a traffic accident because of the driving hazards and bad conditions, you could suffer serious injuries or even be killed. Fortunately, there is a simple but very effective means to protect yourself in the event of a motor vehicle accident. I am talking, of course, about seatbelts. In the past 25 to 30 years, seatbelts have saved hundreds of thousands of lives. A properly worn seatbelt will prevent you from hitting the steering wheel, dash, or windshield. It will also keep you inside the vehicle, which increases your chances of survival. You're more likely to be killed if you're thrown from a vehicle during an accident. Seatbelts are also designed to use your body's strong bones to absorb shock, rather than damage delicate internal organs. Wearing a seatbelt will increase your chance of remaining conscious after a crash, which will help you get out of the vehicle so you can help others. Finally, a seatbelt keeps you in control of your vehicle if you are forced to swerve or brake suddenly. Do you always buckle up when you get behind the wheel? You should. While this list is not all-inclusive, it is designed to help you identify driving hazards caused by dangerous conditions. Living in Oklahoma, I am sure you can identify with driving scenarios that include difficult road conditions, including sharp curves, busy intersections, uneven surfaces or obstacles, poor light or glare, adjustments necessary due to nature such as rain, flooding, and even earthquakes. When the weather turns bad, driving conditions can quickly deteriorate. Driving becomes more difficult and more hazardous, and the risk of having an accident increases. Extreme weather can affect your driving in several critical ways. For example, visibility often decreases, braking distance increases on wet or slippery roads, and moisture on the brake pads can create an additional hazard. Control of the vehicle also becomes a problem on wet or slippery roads, increasing the risk of skidding. The risk of accidents, injuries, and damage to your vehicle increases, and the risk of breakdown might also increase under challenging road conditions like extreme heat or extreme cold. Think about some of the extreme weather conditions you've experienced on the road. For example, a severe thunderstorm or fog. Consider how those conditions affected your driving and your safety. When the weather or road conditions are bad, you need to adjust your driving accordingly to prevent accidents. Reduce your speed and turn on your lights and wipers if necessary. Increase following distance to 4 seconds. That is 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000. In bad weather or when road conditions are poor. Avoid puddles. They can hide damaging potholes and get your brakes wet, which can make it harder to stop in an emergency. Be cautious when there is a light, misty rain after a dry spell. This moisture mixes with the road oil to create a slick surface. Be prepared to handle a skid. If you skid, take your foot off the gas and turn the wheel in the direction you want the front of the car to go. Use a light touch and keep your foot off the brake. For example, the back of your car is skidding to the right. That means the front of the car is heading to the left. To regain control and come out of the skid safely, you should turn the wheel gently to the right. One reminder, bridges, overpasses, and shady spots are most likely to freeze first and stay frozen longest. Driving in rain may not seem particularly hazardous, but the risk of a road accident increases significantly even in a little bit of rain. In heavy rain, severe thunderstorms, or hailstorms, accident risks increase as conditions worsen. There are many hazards associated with driving in rain, including poor visibility, slick roads, large puddles, and wet brakes. Here are some precautions you can take when driving in the rain. Reduce speed in the rain and stay at least 4 seconds, not the usual 3, behind the driver in front. In wet conditions, stopping distance can be twice what it is in normal conditions, especially if brake pads become wet. There is also the risk of losing control of your vehicle in a skid. Use windshield wipers and headlights, not just parking lights. Use a defroster if the inside of windows fog up. Be aware that roads are most slippery in light rain or when rain first starts falling. Rain mixed with oil and dirt makes roads slippery. Brake gently when roads are wet to avoid skidding. Also periodically check your brakes during the drive. Slow down for large puddles, which can reduce braking capability and affect steering. Drive through slowly, tapping the brake pedal. Pull over if you can't see well in heavy rain. Also, pull over in a hailstorm and stay in your vehicle. Flooding is a particularly dangerous road hazard. Safety experts say that flash floods are a major cause of weather-related highway deaths. You could lose control of your vehicle driving fast through as little as 2 inches of water on a roadway. Most vehicles will float in just 18 to 24 inches of water. Driving into deep water could also soak your motor and cause your engine to stall. You could end up getting stuck and needing a tow. Never try to drive through a flooded road. The water may be a lot deeper than it looks. Turn back and find another way to your destination. Be especially careful if you encounter water moving swiftly across the road. Stay clear. If you get in the floodwaters, leave your car immediately and move to higher ground. It's much better to lose your car than your life. Winter weather driving is a safety concern in many parts of the country. Here are some safety tips for driving in snow and ice. As stated earlier in this presentation, clear snow completely off the windshield, rear window, side windows, hood, roof, both headlights, and taillights before starting out. Use windshield wipers and defroster, and turn on your headlights in the snow. Reduce speed and stay at least 4 seconds behind the vehicle in front of you. Even if you have four-wheel drive, go slowly and avoid risky behavior. Brake gradually. Watch out for the icy patches and especially black ice. Bridges and overpasses ice up faster than other road surfaces because they have cold air circulating beneath them. Shady spots stay icy longer. Watch out for other drivers. People may panic and drive poorly in snow or ice. Some drivers go too fast for the conditions and end up in trouble. Finally, on sunny days when there is snow on the ground, wear sunglasses to reduce glare. Although earthquakes are not weather conditions, it seems appropriate to say a few words here about driving in earthquakes, which, like the other conditions mentioned, can make driving especially hazardous. Earthquakes occur suddenly without warning, which is one of the features that makes them so hazardous. On the road, it's hard to control a vehicle while the earth is shaking. You could also be driving into road damage. Remember these precautions if you are ever driving when an earthquake hits. Slow down gradually, pull over to the side of the road, and shut off the engine. Don't stop near trees, power lines, lamp posts, buildings, or other things that could fall on you. And don't stop on or under bridges or overpasses. Be careful about where you park your vehicle in areas where mud or rock slides occur. Try to position yourself out of danger in case a slide occurs. Stay in your car until the shaking stops and keep your seatbelt fastened. Listen to your radio for emergency reports and instructions. Given these facts about weather-related conditions, the ultimate goal for any driver is to avoid collisions. Two-car collisions are the most common kind of traffic accident. About 1/3 of two-car collisions occur at intersections, so be especially careful when entering an intersection. Head-on collisions are particularly dangerous and can be deadly. The key to avoiding them is to keep looking ahead down the road for possible problems. If a crash looks like it's coming, slow down and even go off the road to the right to avoid a head-on crash. Rear-end collisions are also dangerous, but they too are preventable. For example, signal your intentions when stopping or turning, be alert for tailgaters, slow down gradually, leave room in front of you when stopped so that if you are hit from behind, at least you won't hit another vehicle in front. To avoid colliding with a vehicle in front, take these precautions. Look ahead for hazards, brake lights and turn signals, and always maintain sufficient distance between you and the vehicle in front so that you have enough room to stop safely. To avoid side collisions, be sure to approach all intersections with caution. Always look both ways before proceeding, even if you have the right-of-way. If, despite your best efforts, you are involved in a traffic accident, remember that most people will be upset and emotions will be high. Try to remain calm and take these steps. First, move to the side of the road, if possible, and turn off the ignition. Next, perform a first aid check on all drivers and passengers. Call the police and report your location and any injuries that require emergency medical services. When the police arrive on the scene, collect insurance and registration information from the other driver, and make sure to ask the police to send you a copy of their report. Draw a quick sketch or take a picture of the accident scene and jot down your recollection of exactly how the accident happened. Finally, don't point blame or discuss fault. Leave it to the insurance companies to work out the details. Also emphasize that the driver should stop and take pictures regardless of the type of accident. Example, even if they hit a deer or something minor happens, they should stop and take pictures on the spot. You must also understand that the police will not write a report for accidents which occur in parking lots because they are private property. The driver should take pictures as proof. Today we've covered a lot of material. You should have a better understanding of driving hazards you may face on the road, how to maintain your vehicle in good condition, and the importance of always wearing a seatbelt. Make every effort to follow traffic rules and obey signs and signals, and as a result, be an Oklahoma ambassador who is a safe and defensive driver every day. This concludes the defensive driving training session.